Sacrificing sleep for friendship, absolutely. And as you've noticed, this is what happens most often than not. Hold on. There we go. You'll always end up like, "Hi, my name is Mud. I had fun with Scratch last night." No, it has pros and cons. Sleep has pros and cons, but so does staying up very, very late. By that I mean after doing an 8-hour shift of work and then doing whatever else that you want to do with friends, interwebs especially. Uh, you gain benefits from it, but you also gain negatives if you stay up too late. Take it from somebody who knows. One, if you go to bed at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, you end up oversleeping more often than not. And if you oversleep, you wake up with a slight headache. And it tends to also depress your immune system every so much, every single time that you do it, to a point where you fall sick quite easily with a cold, and then you're trying to put yourself back up into where you were. But regardless of that, there's incredible benefits from it. You get to chat with people that have common interests. You get to help them out when they are in a moment of need. If it's a moment of need, you just get relaxation from the whole entire ordeal. Fun, laughter, all the good sweet and sour moments that we all enjoy from having friends. But you have to be careful and choose what you want to do and how you want to do it. I remember once, one year, for sake of friendship, we got together for New Year's Eve. And instead of doing the intelligent thing and sleeping there, I hadn't anything to drink. No alcohol. Just sugar and junk food, basically. And we watched, I think it was 6 or 7 movies. The total of about 7 to 10 hours worth of films from about 10 p.m. the night before, 9, 10 p.m. till 6, 7 a.m. the morning after. I drove myself home that particular time, and we were getting a get together over at my parents, my grandmother, when she was still living. And nothing bad happened that time, except I only had an hour's worth of sleep in 2 days. Literally, I laid down. We had people sleeping in the house, so I laid down with my brother and the hide-a-bed downstairs in the basement. And I just laid my head down. 1 hour later, Dad comes down, does the wake-up call. Wake up, we're all going to Mayo's. It's 12 noon, we're late for dinner. Of course, we weren't rushing more than that, but I can tell you, the night prior, I slept soundly like a baby. And then after that, a few years after that, I did something similar to that in March, where we stayed up late, and it didn't work out so well. In fact, it became dangerous. If it wasn't for the fact that next to the Trans-Canada Highway, well, let me see. On the right side of the Trans-Canada Highway that I was driving back home, there's a ditch for the CN Railway that's about 10 feet from the road down to the bottom. And in there's usually telephone poles. And where I'm crossing, it's an area where you no longer pass through. It's the old Trans-Canada now. I fell asleep on the wheel. And here's what I remember. I remember my eyes suddenly closing. I remember hearing the engine revving. And I remember the car hitting the ice dam. Basically, it was a snowbank that melted to the point that it was mostly ice. But it was still ice/snow. So it was soft enough that it didn't destroy the car. Hard enough to keep me off the precipice on the other side, and still half in, half out. And as soon as I hit, it jolted me awake, and I panicked, and I started turning into, and I turned out, and I unfortunately couldn't get myself out. I ended up having to call the tow truck at almost 7 o'clock in the morning, and having to answer my parents why their Toyota Corolla had some internal damage to the motor, because the whole internal casing for the motor was entirely entrenched in snow. I broke a fan belt. That was the only thing that broke. That and the transmission was wonky ever that day until it started melting in spring. Then it started working well. But let me tell you, I've never, ever done any more driving past midnight. I try to avoid it like the plague unless I've got super strong coffee. Fatigue does horrible things to you, and it can lead to accidents. Anyways, have a nice one.